As sunlight decreases during cold, dark winter days, many people feel sad. And this isn't only meant as an experiencing sadness, but in some cases stands for an apt acronym that refers to something called seasonal affective disorder. If you tend to feel low, exhausted, unfocused and sad in winter, here's a video with science-based tips to avoid winter blues and improve well-being. Hey there, great to have you here for another video. My name is Ava, I'm a psychologist and head of content at FlowLab. If you're new to our channel, FlowLab is a mental fitness app with a mission to help you unleash your full potential, increase your well-being and find more fulfilling flow states with personalized guided meditations. You can save 50% if you follow the instructions in the description. And if you want to support us, it would mean a lot to us if you subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. In winter, it seems my energy and motivation disappears with the sun. As it's getting darker and colder, I struggle to get up in the morning, generally feel less eager to go outside and become tired as soon as it gets dark in the afternoon again. When we worked at the office, I left home when it was still dark outside and came back when it was again dark outside. So it felt like I didn't catch any sunlight during winter days. Turns out this is actually key for many people to maintain a good mood during the cold season. But we'll get to that. What some associate with coziness feels like rock bottom to others. These people who struggle during the cold season slip into winter blues. They feel down, fatigued, moody, perhaps unmotivated. And sometimes it goes even further and develops into something called seasonal affective disorder, or short, SAD. This is part 1 out of 2 on winter blues, where we explain the research behind seasonal affective disorder and which treatment options work best. Part 2 will be a guided meditation that you can integrate into your daily morning routine to fight off winter blues and bring yourself into a more positive state. But for now, let's start with the basics. Seasonal affective disorder is, as the name suggests, a subtype of depression with a seasonal pattern that begins and ends during a specific season every year. According to the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, this should occur for at least 2 years, and there should be more seasons with depression than seasons without depression over a lifetime to meet the criteria for the diagnosis. There is also a milder form of SAD, the subsyndromal winter blues. In theory, seasonal affective disorder can not only emerge in winter, as we'll discuss today, but also in summer. So summer depression definitely exists too, but it is less common and differs somewhat in terms of symptoms and therefore also treatment options. If this is something you're interested in too, let us know in the comments. Okay, so what exactly does it look like when we experience winter depression or winter blues? Well, we usually find ourselves in a depressed mood and tend to lose interest in many activities that we usually enjoy. We struggle to focus, feel low on energy, perhaps struggle to sleep well, and feel extremely drowsy during the day. In many cases, appetite increases too. Especially in the evenings, patients crave for carbs and sweets in particular. Quick disclaimer at this point, if you think that your symptoms go beyond mild winter blues or you feel that you need some support, don't hesitate to check back with a therapist to receive individual treatment. Also, this can be useful to distinguish seasonal affective disorder from potential other disorders or symptom clusters that may look similar at first, but in fact have a different cause and require a different treatment. For a first self-assessment though, you can ask yourself these 3 questions. When the days are getting shorter and darker, do you feel a dramatic reduction in your energy level? Do you have difficulty waking up in the morning? And are you oversleeping or overeating, or both? Have you gained weight? These are questions that physician Norman Rosenthal suggested in an interview that I'll link in the description. When he moved from South Africa to the United States, Rosenthal noticed that his own productivity dropped during winter, but returned back to normal in spring. He then worked together with 2 other researchers on how bright light can help patients with SAD. So if you answer these 3 questions he suggested with yes, there's a high probability that you are experiencing winter blues or even winter depression. There's also an online questionnaire that doesn't require any training and is completely free, with which you can find out whether you have SAD. I'll put the link in the description too. For reasons we don't fully understand yet, women are 4 times more affected than men, and the prevalence of SAD is highest during the reproductive years. Some assume hormones to play a key role here, but of course this can also be due to lifestyle differences, for example, so this topic definitely needs further research. Generally, winter blues are much more common in people who live at higher latitudes, so places further away from the equator. And therein lies an interesting conclusion, namely that sunlight is one of the main triggers for SAD. What's likely behind this is a phase shift of the circadian rhythm, our body's internal 24-hour clock that regulates many body processes, like the release of hormones or sleep, for example. Apparently, this circadian signal that usually communicates a seasonal change in day length is timed differently in SAD patients, so that it becomes harder for the body to adjust. Since the hours of sunlight decrease in winter, and light is the main synchronizer of the circadian rhythm, many processes run more slowly in winter. For example, normal changes in body temperature or the release of the sleep hormone melatonin have been found to be phase delayed in SAD patients compared to controls. Also, melatonin levels generally increase during winter, which makes SAD patients feel extremely lethargic and exhausted. Many studies have also focused on the role of serotonin in winter depression, a neuromodulator that seems to be necessary for SAD patients to stabilize mood, but it's also involved in sleep and appetite. Serotonin levels are lowest in humans during winter months. And we can also observe a vitamin D deficiency in many SAD patients, which is believed to play a role in serotonin activity as well and correlates with depressive symptoms. Okay, so does supplementing vitamin D or taking medications to increase serotonin levels, like Prozac, for example, solve the problem? Well, yes, there is some evidence that medications can ameliorate the symptoms of winter depression. They can be a great option, but this is something you need to discuss with your doctor, since medications like antidepressants in this case can of course come with negative side effects. Also, there are other very promising approaches. When a lack of sunlight is thought to be the main reason for seasonal affective disorder, the solution should immediately suggest itself: getting this light from somewhere else. And this can be done with special light boxes. They emit white fluorescent light, normally at 10,000 lux, which is about 20 times as great as ordinary indoor lighting. Patients are recommended to sit in front of it 12 to 18 inches away with their eyes open for about 30 minutes a day, ideally in the early morning. You don't have to look directly into the light when adding that to your morning routine. You can also have breakfast in the meantime or start your workday as usually, as long as the light enters your pupils. So if you plan to fight winter blues by going to the solarium, I have bad news for you. Light therapy via skin is ineffective. It has to enter the eyes, because this way the light can stimulate the so-called suprachiasmatic nucleus, which sits right above the optic nerve. Supra meaning above, and chiasmatic referring to the optic chiasm where the optic nerves cross. And this nucleus sets the circadian rhythm. The light can thereby prevent this phase delay we talked about earlier. In an 8-week study with 96 participants, one group followed this light therapy for 30 minutes per day after waking up, plus a placebo pill, while the other group received 20 milligrams of the antidepressant medication Prozac, plus a placebo light therapy with only 100 instead of normally 10,000 lux for 30 minutes daily. So the second group was exposed to a much less intense light than the first group. The response and remission rates were quite similar for both groups, which suggests that light therapy can be just as effective as medications, at least for the participants here. But also, the first group had an earlier response and less adverse side effects. So this makes light therapy a promising alternative in case you don't want to take medication. But please note that light therapy shouldn't be combined with photosensitizing medications such as lithium, melatonin, or certain antipsychotics. So again, consult your doctor if you're uncertain. Generally, there are many studies by now supporting the effectiveness of light boxes to fend off winter blues. In Scandinavian countries, there are even light rooms where the light is indirect and evenly distributed to prevent winter blues. If you want to try it out yourself, make sure you do it consistently during the winter months until spring, because once you stop this light therapy, the symptoms can become worse again. When the symptoms aren't severe, lifestyle changes can also work wonders during winter. Make sure you spend as much time outdoors as possible, increase light sources at home, and if possible, perhaps even spend some time in sunnier places. Nutrition-wise, SAD patients show the tendency for emotional eating as well as eating larger amounts. Limiting starches and sugars, for example, can be a strategy to start with to improve your well-being. When you eat a lot of sugar, your sugar cravings will increase even further. So instead, on his website, Rosenthal suggests a protein-rich diet combined with many vegetables, unprocessed foods, and complex carbohydrates. No surprises here, but perhaps another incentive to improve your diet if this is something you want to work on. Also, you may want to rule out the possibility of any deficiencies like B vitamins, omega-3, zinc, or antioxidants, since this is also associated with depression and cognitive impairment. Similarly, exercise is recommended for patients with winter blues, and there are several conceivable explanations for that. Apart from releasing mood-enhancing neurotransmitters, triggering a sense of accomplishment, and perhaps being an opportunity to socialize with others, some studies point to the possibility that exercise accelerates a phase advance shift, so affecting our circadian rhythm in the desired direction, perhaps by increasing our light sensitivity or increasing our arousal state. Perhaps it also affects our melatonin levels. A study with dogs from 2 different latitudes showed that dogs at any location showed a reduction in melatonin when they exercised compared to non-exercising dogs. Whatever the exact mechanism, there is some evidence that exercise can better symptoms of seasonal affective disorder. In the end, combining treatments seems to be best. For instance, bright light combined with exercise resulted in lower depression levels. And then there are, of course, also things we can do on a mental level. When I think back to the last winters, I remembered that I tended to dial it down a bit to become more comfortable and, whenever possible, choose the easier, lazy option. While some enjoy the slow movement, people affected by winter blues may rather benefit from setting a challenging goal, something they want to have achieved by spring, something worth bracing yourself up. It's like grabbing the bull by its horns instead of running away from it. For example, this year I personally set the goal to be able to do 3 pull-ups by the 1st of April. Find something that you can challenge yourself with and that ideally motivates you intrinsically, so where the process of achieving your goal is fun and fulfilling. Another tool I don't want to withhold from you is to change the way you think about certain problems and break down negative thinking patterns that come with it. That's the goal of cognitive behavioral therapy, which has been tested in a 6-week study. In a group setting, participants received 2 90-minute CBT sessions per week, which has been found to be just as effective as sitting in front of a light box every morning. Say you catch yourself thinking, I tend to avoid other people lately. Maybe I'm socially incompetent. Perhaps you can ask yourself questions like, is this really true? Is there any other explanation, any other way to think about the situation? Maybe you remember situations where you were more outgoing, funny, empathetic, or whatever you rate as socially competent. If you go on, ask yourself which thought would be more accurate, which one would be more helpful. For example, currently I decide to take more time by myself. Is different in so many ways. It implies that it's temporary, an active decision, and the focus lies on prioritizing alone time over social activities. So this simple change in wording can help shift your perspective. Basically, become your own devil's advocate and dispute the beliefs that don't serve you. As I mentioned in the beginning, we'll also upload a guided meditation soon dedicated towards fending off winter blues, where you can train to adopt a positive mindset and, if you like, even combine that with your daily dose of light therapy. Until then, I hope you learned something new today and have a few tangible tips on how to beat winter blues this year. If you like this video, I'd be happy if you support us by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the FlowLab channel. Also, let us know in the comments what you do to care for your physical and mental well-being during winter. Have a great day and see you next time.
Ich werde nur noch Skripte schreiben, wo wir Essen für brauchen.
Hast du ja bisher immer, oder?